Hello and welcome to Heart to Heart with Eva and today's guest, Leigh from Heavenly Energies.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome back. It's been a long time since I saw you, and it's always so good to be in your energy.
You too.
So yeah, we have a pretty sensitive topic to talk about today, and every time that we have, because this is actually the third time we are trying to get together to talk about this, so
Yeah.
I'm glad that it's finally happening. And it's healing through darkness. And you had some good insights there, and I totally agree with those insights, that whenever it feels uncomfortable or getting a bit heavy, people are like dismissing it like it's not for me or it's bad. But sometimes we have to go through that issue or that moment of darkness to end up on the other side where the light is. So
Mm.
how do you want to take it from there? How is this something that is, yeah, well, go ahead, Heaven.
Yeah. So it's just, I see a lot of people, or I not even just a lot of people, I think all of us in general, just in general,
Mm,
um, we have fears that are held within our subconscious. And something that I've been working with my guides recently is that spirit can only show up with like the knowledge that we have. So if we have a lot of fear, a lot of uncomfortable emotions or reactions, we have a lot of trauma just stored in that subconscious, source and spirit has to go through that in order to get to us.
mm,
And that's a long process for source. It can be kind of terrifying for ourselves because we're seeing the world through this fear lens or this subconscious trauma or whatever it is that we're holding there. And when we get uncomfortable or when we get fearful, we think that we're moving in the wrong direction. When in reality, we're moving towards source, we're moving towards spirit, we're moving closer to understanding ourselves and what source is trying to tell us. So healing through darkness, I love how you said that. Just how can we learn to kind of turn towards that uncomfortability, turn towards that fear so that we can actually uncover what's truly there. Because again, source is like pointing us to where our power is, and our power is normally hiding somewhere in that darkness, or at least a part of it.
mm.
Um, yeah, so that's kind of what I've been feeling into the last like month, 4 months.
Yeah, and how should I say that? Everybody's talking about the karma wheel, and we have to go through our own purging and to release and let go. But sometimes I also feel like we are so aware that we have to go through that fear-based emotions that we have and release it and heal it, but we are not accepting it as a part of our lives.
Mm, mm.
Does it make sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. It's really hard to accept that, right? Because we're these beings of like light, we're these beings of beauty, we're connected to source. And it's so hard, I think, even for myself, especially myself, to accept that there are these darker traits or darker aspects of myself, of even the collective. That's another thing we're seeing. It's really hard for us to accept the collective as it is,
Mm.
with all its darkness and all its mucky and its violent and bleh. It's so hard to accept that that is also a part of us. But if we keep casting it out and being like, yeah, no, I'm not like that, or yeah, no, I don't do that, or I don't have those fears, then we're not seeing the whole picture. And we're also not able to do the healing work that needs to be done, not only for ourselves, but for the collective as well. Um, it's
I think
like,
that is a huge topic to actually address, because a lot of people are hiding about that concept. I actually have this thought when I was sitting on my outside today, and I was sitting there, and I got this picture of Buddha, sitting there meditating, and I saw it in my head, and I was thinking about the image of the enlightened person and how so many want to be this holy guru, and you are almost like the medieval priesthood. You know, you're untouchable, you are up there, and we are here in this physical body with all this emotion that we need to express and feel and balance in somehow. So that is why it feels so good that you want to talk about these things, because it's a bit taboo to talk about it, because you're not spiritual when you are addressing these things like you are a physical body, a human being.
And that's something that I'm so glad you brought up, because that was the kicker for me, right? It's like I'm doing all this spiritual work and I'm like, I'm meditating and I'm pulling cards and I'm listening to source and I'm using my pendulum and I'm doing all these different things to really hone in and connect. And I just want to be like the Buddha, right? Like just anything that comes to me, I can just breathe through. I don't have to react, but that's not the truth of the matter. And I really started to lose myself in this, like, I am this high, whatever being. But reality is I was sent to earth in a physical body during this time for a reason. And I am missing out on the physical experience when I'm hiding, up here, which is, it's so beautiful to be up here. Like, I never want to tell
Oh yeah,
anyone
that is an emotional expression too. So yeah.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. But the healing is when we grab it and we bring it back down into the body. And then that's where we live, right? Like, we're trying to express Christ consciousness through the physical experience. And I think a lot of us get stuck up here, and it's kind of lonely getting stuck up here. Like, I was stuck up here for about 6 months, and to feel like I'm way up here and every other person I'm meeting is kind of down somewhere over, who cares? Who cares? I need to observe everything like the tree, like Buddha does, like the tree.
And I also think that people are getting help to get stuck up here, because people who are listening in are usually already putting you on a pedestal. So they are uplifting you because what you are saying are the optimal truth. But the thing is to be in balance, and like you said, bring it down and into yourself. Actually realizing that we are a spiritual being in a human physical body, and it's okay to just laugh and cry and just be who you are, because you're still spiritual.
Yeah. Yes. I think it's Ram Dass, but do not quote me on this, but it talks about, like, when you've touched God or you go to those moments of meditation or, psychedelic trips or whatever you do to get to where you get to, right? And then you come down from that place and you're in your physical body and you have to take out the trash. Like, you are a god taking out the trash, and how can you embody that in the mundane, in the physical, and instead of being like, well, I'm a spiritual person, so I'm gonna only do spiritual things. And it's like, no, that balance is so beautiful, it's so necessary. And that's why the sound bowls really came into my life, and yoga, dancing, even, like, just I believe music is so spiritual no matter what it is. So whether you're at a country show dancing your butt off or you're at a sound bath having a meditation, I feel like you're going to have an experience. But I feel like these things, these tools, bring you back to the body. And I think that's the most important part, is to find things in your life that can bring you back to the body in a way that you enjoy. Because that's another thing. Lots of things bring us back to the body, right? Pain, physical illness, all these other things that are very painful, very crunchy, right? But we can find squishy, nice, soft, warm, beautiful ways to embrace the body. Baths, big old, baths where you're getting in the water, feeling that on your skin. It's finding your own personal way to reconnect back, anchor in. And that's so hard. I mean, like, this isn't the easy work, right? This isn't the easy work.
No, it's not. Yeah, well, I was trying to think about how you reconnect with yourself there and how to be in alignment and be that spiritual person that you are supposed to be. I have had a vacation right now, 5 weeks, and I haven't meditated one single time until today. I was sitting outside and it felt good. Do you know what I have been doing? I have been plugging through the Game of Thrones on TV on Netflix, the whole eight
Oh,
seasons. And yeah, I know that's not spiritual, but it is in some way because that is so much a collective that is healing through darkness. If you're
mm,
actually looking what's going on in that Netflix series Game of Thrones, you have a red thread there that you really need to dive into to your
yeah.
own emotions and sort out who are you, and you have to work that shit through to get out on the other side.
Yes.
And it's okay if it doesn't work out because you always get to another level. And
Mhm.
that's spiritual work too. Game of Thrones, spiritual work. Yay.
I love that you said that because I felt that when I watched Game of Thrones, I was when that for last final season came out, you know, everyone's talking about it, and I was like, I will sit down and watch this show. And oh God, what is her name? She is one of the Starks. I do star or I wish I remember her name, but at the very end of the series, she says, I learn slow, but I do learn.
Yeah.
And her character like really brought in a lot of mirror for me, right? Like she
Yeah.
was a people pleaser. She just wanted to fall in love, like didn't even care. She was marrying Jeffrey or Joffrey or what, you know. So it just it's so funny that you brought that up because movies, shows, books, things like that, I think they're so great for shadow work, for really looking at ourselves. Our subconscious tends, and this is something I teach with my tarot classes, but your subconscious creates a barrier. So when someone comes up to you and tries to tell you something about yourself, like let's say, hey, you know, you're a great person, but you just have no backbone. You're going to be like,
Yeah.
excuse me, you have no backbone, like no thank you, you know. But when we're watching something and we can relate to it, we can be like, oh my god, I'm so much like her, look at all these things. It really gives you that reflective piece without that resistance, without that shutdown. So I love that you said that, and I love that you're doing that and you're being honest about it too. um
Yeah.
I watch TV.
I never dived in so to how we could relate to our own shadow work by watching those Netflix series, but I like it. I like
Mm-hmm.
it a lot. I
Mm-hmm.
definitely see that I have been working through some issues myself by watching this, and I really need to, um, toss it between my left and right brain, like, is this something that I have worked through, or is it still a part of me? So yeah, thanks for that insight, Evan.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that
So
that
you are actually working with that typical thing to move in, not, you said tarot card, not Netflix series, but tarot cards. So will you talk about how you dive into those shadow works and how you are working through um, healing through darkness? Because
oh yeah.
I do know that we all have some stuff behind us, and that's why we are here, of course. And I do know that we have been about to talk about this for like 4 or 5 months now.
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So obviously there has been something that was needed to fall in place before we could talk about it. So
Mhm.
since we are here, we are probably in the right time to talk about it.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Does
so
it,
yeah,
do you feel comfortable to to
yeah,
talk about it? Yeah. Mm.
yeah. I think I'm trying to find a place to start because I think I want to start with like my own experience just over the last 4 or 5 months, and then kind of talk about a little bit about what I did during that time or during that experience. Um, so last November, actually, right before I got these sound bowls, my best friend passed away in a horrendous accident,
Mm.
which struck me with grief. She was 36 years old. She had 2 kids, it's just untimely type of thing. And I'm a person that believes that I have constant communication with her. Did that stop that human grief? No. There was still lots of pain, sadness. I completely lost who I was, pretty much, as it wrecked my world. And I, for a really long time, tried to hold it together, right? I was trying to, no, I'm going to stay the same. I'm not changing. And I tried and I tried. And eventually I had to let go and just accept that I was going to have to move through this dark tunnel, that there was no going back to who I was anymore, because that person did not exist. And I feel like a lot of us find ourselves there, right? It's like something happens, we're too afraid to walk forward, but there's no going back. So I started to walk forward, and girl, I messed up a lot, like a lot. Me and my boyfriend for a little bit, we split up because I was like, I don't know who I am. I just need to get my head straight. I moved out of my house. I almost quit the business several times. Like, I mean, I allowed myself to pretty much implode, right? And it was messy, and it felt messy, and it felt chaotic, and it did not feel of light at all. And I'm sitting there like on the floor crying, like asking for messages, asking for all these different things. And I finally got to the point where, again, it was this is acceptance. It was an acceptance of exactly where I was at, exactly what I was dealing with, in order for me to be able to move through it. Because again, the more I fought, the more I tried to hold on to who I used to be, the more it just caused more chaos and more pain and just bleh. So I think the main or the main goal or the main thing to hold on to while you're healing through darkness is that acceptance piece. It's purely about first the acceptance of where you're at, because if you're not accepting what's coming up for you, whether it be fear, anger, pain, grief, whatever it is that's bubbling up from the depths, if you're not accepting that, there's no moving through it. There's none. You will just keep pushing it back, and you will feel it the whole time it's back there, because I tried, to go about my day as normal, and it just wasn't working. I eventually ended up, like, everything just kept getting worse, it felt like, but I eventually ended up moving out of my home, moved in with a friend, got kicked out of there because she just could not live with people, ended up homeless a little bit, living out of my car. So that was terrifying. And the whole time I'm like, Spirit, come on, like, I'm almost 30. We don't have time for this. But everything ended up like, after I accepted where I was at, that I was at the bottom, that I was having a human experience, that, I humbled myself to realize that none of us have any certainty of what's going to happen. We can't say that we're going to be able to keep our house forever, or we can't say, our relationships are not going to fail. We can't say any of this stuff. So it was like this humbled, like, wow, I am so humbled by my own pain and by my own, destruction and my own life at this point, that I don't, it's this weird feeling, but when you finally accept that you're at like the very bottom and that like nothing pretty much can get worse, but it can only get better from here. And then you just let go, and you have this almost painful trust in the universe. It's like a resignation. It's like, all right, I obviously do not know anything, and I will let go of the wheel now. And I think sometimes that darkness is the only thing that'll get us to do that.
Yeah, totally agree.
And
Yeah.
once I got
Sorry.
there,
Yeah.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
But once I got to that place, and it's a very painful place to be, it's not fun, it's not pretty, it does not feed your ego. That's when things started to fall into place. And, I got a better job. I just bought a new car. I don't know how that happened. I had no money a couple months ago. And, I'm in a beautiful home with absolutely everything that I asked Spirit for. I was manifesting this last year when we talked. and it has everything. I mean, place for a garden, dishwasher, because that's important, washing machine, everything I need. So that's kind of what sparked, I guess, this conversation, is this healing through darkness, because I really thought my life was falling apart. I really thought that I had really fucked up and I was being punished and, all these awful things. When in reality, I was being broken down to be reset up in such a better place in my life. And I don't want people to miss that.
I'm so glad that you are sharing this, Evan. And I totally can see why you weren't ready to talk about this, because you weren't finished. So
Yeah.
bless the universe for that. And I'm so glad that it worked out for you, and you are so well deserving of that. Wow, that is quite a journey. But somehow you really, I totally get what you are saying. I went through some similar experience that you were talking about now for like 2.5 years ago. And I actually moved out too. You have to sometimes take that step and break out of your comfort zone just to see how things are falling back in
Mm,
place. And
mm,
that is a healing process that is so worthy of your source connection, because you are actually tapping into your source. I'm not
mm,
using the words properly here, but I can
yeah.
so sense how feelings and emotion and everything are just dropping into place, and how the healing process is working. Wow, that is an amazing journey, and I'm so glad that you are sitting here now, able to talk about it. So how did you process with this? Because I guess that you are supportive to others. I do know you have a lot of you on your agenda. You are a healer, and did you finish your yoga?
Oh, not yet. We're working on that.
You
We
work
are
on
working
that?
on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you are almost a yoga instructor, and
Mhm.
you have so much going on. You do tarot card readings and a lot of stuff. So I guess the universe have a plan for you, how to work with this, how to move through that tunnel of darkness and actually step into the light in this lifetime, because that is what it is. It's a birth channel that you are walking through when you are down at the bottom, before you actually come out on the other side and
Mhm.
feel the freshness of being human being again.
Right. And I think honestly, so all the different things that I do, I feel like were the things that really first got me through all that darkness. But also it's not, I don't know, source just kind of has called me to a lot of different things. And I'm still figuring it out. Right. I
Mm.
still don't really know exactly what my little niche is. I really love sound. Sound, I think, is my baby. But I feel like when we get to a certain point, because that's what I feel like it was, like I finally got into a certain level with my business, with what I was doing, with my healing, that there was only, and I really do believe this too, and I don't know if you've noticed this with like different people you've had on podcasts, but like my clients are very, very vibrational frequency matched to me, to
Mhm.
something I've done in the past. Maybe it's something I'm about to go through. Maybe it's a belief I hold, but they are so vibrationally matched to me. It's not even funny. It freaks me out sometimes. They walk in, they're like, I'm going through this. And I'm like, me too, literally, same thing. Um, that like I got to a point in my healing journey with my clients is that I couldn't go any further until I went through some of my own shit, right? And that's another thing I feel like is, if you're a healer or you're somebody that's doing this work, like keep doing your work too, because you're going to attract more people that need this work that you're doing here, right? That need your
Mhm.
experience from it. I wouldn't have been able to I feel confident walking someone through like losing someone really close to them without that experience of losing someone super close to me, or, you know, walk through an experience of someone working a full-time job, getting kicked out of their house, living out of their car, you
Mm.
know, until I went through that experience. And I think that's why it's really important for a lot of us too, is to hold on to that. Like there's not no reason for the darkness. And I can get stuck in that mindset where I'm like,
Point.
this is pointless, you know? Yeah, like I'm not walking through, like, why am I doing this? But in reality, you know, you don't know who you're going to help 6 months, a year. You don't even know who you're helping right then and there, who's watching you, you
Mm.
know, who's watching you walk through that darkness. And I think that's an important thing, like you said, to hold on to kind of something while you're walking through, like you're being birthed out to someone new. That's a great thing to hold on to. Great intention when you're walking through that. Or maybe it's just, you know, I want to feel better. That's something I do a lot. I tend to start not feeling okay in my life, and then like kind of pushing it down, being like, oh, it's fine, it's fine. And then one day I wake up and I'm like, this is not okay. And I just cause, you know, craziness,
Um,
but it's for a purpose. I do feel better afterwards, right? Because something wasn't aligned, something needed, you know, checked on, something needed looked at. And so again, I think it's just not ignoring that. Like I know we all love love and light. I
yeah.
love love and light. I love it. Um, but I tend, just like the rest of the world, to want to stay there. And like you said, it's a wheel, it's a karma wheel, and it's got to keep rolling.
Mm.
Um, we like to talk about it as an eight, me and my best friend Hannah. And so one side, this upper side is the positive, right? And then you have to go down into the dark tunnel and come back up the other side. And you just keep going, right? And if you get the momentum right, you can flow. You can flow, you can find positive in that negative. You can go through that dark tunnel pretty quickly with some ease. But it's when we stop before we dip is when we get it all messed up, man. And then we have
Oh,
to start
yes.
rocking and finding some momentum somewhere. And so just don't stop. Just keep letting it flow, because source spirit is going to organically send you there.
Absolutely. And while you are talking, I keep hearing this law of attraction. It just comes popping in like a bell in my head. And I guess they want to combine what you're talking about with the sentence law of attraction, because that is law of attraction. As
Mm,
long as you are, and you sound like you were going through this, you know, you try to ignore it and put it behind you until it comes back again, and you still have to go through it. And that is the law of attraction. If you are not working through it, you will attract.
yeah, you're doomed to repeat it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
Which,
very important to address that. You actually need to, it's a universal law you are talking about here. You can't move forward until you are letting go of what no longer serves you. And
right.
that means not just acknowledge it, but that it is a start to do so, but you actually have to work through it.
And I love that, because I have two things to say on this too, because I
Mhm.
love that you brought that up. The first thing is you're right, it will come back. So if you're not ready to deal with it when it first comes, I see you. I know you'll come back. I'll be ready then, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't have to force ourselves through the darkness. That's not helpful. It is a ready and willingness, you know, to just walk through it, to just be like, okay, I'm ready. And if you're not ready in that moment, acknowledge, hi, I see you. You are a pattern. You will be back. I
Mm.
will deal with you then. I will be ready. I promise, you know, and just have faith that it's coming back too. Don't beat yourself up for not taking opportunities, because I tend to do that. I'm like, oh, I should have, whatever. And then the second thing with that law of attraction thing is I hear this a lot, and I just want to debunk it a little bit. But if you're having negative emotions, negative thoughts, you're walking through darkness, right? Are you attracting more darkness? Right? A lot of people I hear say this because they're like, well, I don't want to deal with my stuff because I'm afraid I'm going to have negative thoughts. And then, you know, I'm attracting more negative things, and then blah, 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 you know. Um, So with this law of attraction thing, when we're walking through that darkness, we will have negative thoughts. We will have negative emotions. Now it's how we use them is whether it's amplified or not, right? Whether it's attracted or not. So if you stay stuck in it and you start oh, I'm a bad person. Oh, my life sucks. Nothing's ever going to get better. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you are. You're going to start getting negative back. It's going to start getting painful, uncomfortable, and it's supposed to. Spirit is trying to teach you how to change the script, right? Walking through darkness doesn't mean you let it take a hold of you. You walk through it. So now you're having a negative thought. Oh, I'm a piece of shit. No, I'm not. I'm going through something. Oh man, I can't do this anymore. Yes, you can. You're fine. Spirit's got you. Sources got you. You're doing okay. Oh no, nobody reacts like this. Everyone reacts like that. You are so human. You are so loved. Right? So how do we stop that negative feedback loop? People get so scared to tap into that because they're afraid they're going to be taken by the darkness. And you might have a really good friend that can help you with that. I know I have tons of friends that are like, girl, you sound like a victim right now. You need to, like they call me out on it when I'm getting too much out of my power. And I think that's another thing. I'm glad we're talking about all of this now, is having an anchor when you're going through something like that, having a person that you can go to that knows your story, that knows what's going on, that can pull you out of that loop, because you don't want to be stuck in there either. You don't want the darkness to take over you. You are lighting up the darkness with your lantern. You're in control.
Yeah, absolutely. That is a very important aspect of it. I do understand that a lot of people might think that law of attraction is that you are attracting more of the darkness.
Yeah.
And that grabs a hold of you. No, that was very important to say that, because when you doesn't face up to the stuff that you are going through, it will keep coming back and hold you in that place. And for everybody, because that is also something new that everybody's talking about right now, to manifest things. And we do know that it works. And sometimes it does not work. And probably it's because somewhere there is a piece of untamed emotions that you are just keep putting behind yourself. You have not worked, and it could have something to do with fear or unworthiness, feelings of being unworthy, and that will keep a blockage for you to move forward. So you actually have to, as we have talked about, go through this emotion. You don't have to be stuck there. That's very important, and I love that you addressed that. And that infinite, I do love the infinite symbol. And so, yeah, don't get stuck there, but work through that. Work through the energy. Otherwise, you won't attract something else.
Right.
Oh.
Right. And that's something too that I want to just touch on a little bit, because there's so much science behind it. But when we're in heavy emotion or things like that, when we're trying to feel that emotion, our automatic nervous system has now been triggered. So now we're getting a little science, but we'll talk about the body a little bit, what's going on in the body when we're doing that. So automatic nervous system is our fight or flight response. It's our get the hell out of here, or, like run away. It's what's kept us safe for centuries, our bloodline, everything, it's get the fuck out of here. But when we're in heavy emotion, it turns on. It's like, oh, I got to get the fuck out of here, which isn't always true, right? The threat isn't always right in front of our face. Our minds can trick us. So when we're going through darkness or we're healing through darkness, one of the things is to learn how to control that automatic response, right? To turn it down. Something I learned that I didn't know this, but 2 months ago, I found out your prefrontal cortex or your executive function actually shuts down when you're in fight or flight. So you literally cannot perceive, you cannot think, you cannot make decisions, you cannot do any of that. So when healing through darkness, it's almost crucial, and it's kind of annoying because you feel like you're taking care of a baby almost. But every time you're feeling something, it's to go take that time out and calm down that automatic nervous system. what you're doing is you're retraining your brain. So your brain gets triggered by something, some sort of fear, a thought, even, whatever it is, an unworthiness feeling, something like that. And then you literally lose control of your brain and your body, right? And so if you can pause, teach the brain, hey, when I have this thought, it's okay. It's not true. Like, we're going to come back down. We're going to bring myself back down. Or if I'm experiencing something scary, I take myself out of it. I bring the body back down. You're reprogramming the neurons. So instead of this neuron connects to fear, now it's this neuron connects to fear, connects to balance or stability. So eventually we can cut out this middleman of fear, right? So something scary happens, we're calm and cool. That we're
Wow, love
retraining.
it.
So that is a really big thing with healing in darkness, is to learn that your body is literally responding to, and like to use your connection to source or your higher thinking. We all have it. Like
Mind
when
over
we're
matter.
mind over matter, to realize, hey, I have to parent myself in this moment. I have to go take a time out and go sit myself somewhere, calm myself down, because I am having a response that is not appropriate for what is going on right now, and teaching that brain that it's not the same.
No.
Brain, we're in a different situation, we're different people, that type of thing. I think that's been the most beneficial on my journey, is almost breaking it down scientifically. And I know that doesn't feel spiritual, but it's the
Oh,
most
that it
spiritual thing
is.
ever.
That is
Yeah.
so spiritual that it can be, because you're still in your physical body, and every emotion is attached to a chemical reaction within yourself. So
Mm-hmm.
what you're explaining here could definitely make it so much easier to know why we are reacting the way we do,
Mm-hmm.
and how to reprogram our own thinking. And you need to take charge of your own thinking. It's a big step forward for you, and for everybody, to actually be taking control over your own thinking. And that's the next step to move forward in the spiritual path. So
Mm-hmm.
I want to, how do you see the concept of what we are talking about related to the collective mind? Because that is also something like, oh, I'm not feeling too good today, because it's the collective issues. So yeah, and definitely there are collective issues and that we are affected from. But how do you see upon it? I know how I see it, but how do you see it?
um so this is funny too. So I have a little side project, eventually it might come out, who knows. But it talks about how we can look at the world, or the things that are going on in the world, and how we can move through it, or either apply it to ourselves, look at what it's bringing up in us, and then also what can we do about it, right? We have a lot of social justice out there. We have a lot of like, I need to do something type of feelings, because a lot of stuff is wrong, right? And how do we move through that, right? How do we so the thing that we talk about a lot is me and my friend Hannah, we dissect what is kind of going on within the collective, and then how does that relate to us, okay? And then how can we send love to it? How can we send acceptance to it? How can we, so let's break down one that's kind of gross. I'm trying to think of one that's not super like super racy, but who knows? I might just pull one out. I love talking about racy things. Um, so let's sexual orientation is kind of a big one right now over here on this end of the world. So sex, huge topic, right? Everyone has their own opinions on it. Everyone in the collective right now is talking about, different rights and the body and, whatever. So I look at that within myself. So what sexual dealings do I have that are weird, right? What kind of blocks do I have in my sexuality? Where am I being called to look at in my own sexuality, in my own body as a woman, where, how am I holding that? So I start digging through the different lines of sexuality that I need to clear out, right? If it's coming out in the collective, it's part of all of us. We're all connected anyway. I know that sucks, We all have a murderer in our hearts, a rapist, all those really gross, nasty things that we see. It's still a part of us. There is something, you know, in our body that we could feel into for that. And it's not fun. It's not, but it has to be done. So I'm feeling into this sexuality, right? I'm feeling into it. Okay, what do I need to explore? I got some religious wounds around my sexuality. I know a lot of people do. So I feel dirty a lot of the time with sex. So how do I change that? Sex is love, sex is connection, sex is, you know, what is sex to me? So I started exploring all of that. And then I come to radical acceptance for the people that have not done that work yet. Because that's what you're seeing in the collective is a bunch of unhealed things that people haven't done the work for, whether it be greed with all the money right now, greed, that's an unhealed trauma right there. That's trying to fill an internal hole with something outside yourself, right? Sexual orientation, our rights right now, that's a big thing over here. I don't really want to get into that too much, but it's huge. So, you know, how can we take responsibility again for ourselves? Because taking away control or rights is fear. That's fear based in them. So it's really turning it and looking at yourself and saying, okay, what can I accept in myself that I see that's not so pretty, right? Not fun, but how can I make peace with it myself? Because then I can send love to the people that are still figuring it out. And that's how I kind of have peace with the collective. It doesn't mean I condone what they're doing, doesn't mean I think it's right. It doesn't mean anything like that, but it does mean that I have made peace with myself and now I can send love. And that I think is more powerful than if I go around and be like, did you see what those politicians were doing today? Did you, you know? No, I'm just going to send them some love, some Reiki. You know, it might fuck up their world a little bit because what they're doing is trash, but you know, that's what I can do in my power. So that's how I view the collective, but I'm curious on what you have.
I so love you, girl. I do love to watch the world and see what's going on there because usually you are feeling it somewhere within yourself. That means that you brought it up. We are a part of the collective. So if you can't heal the collective, the only way to actually heal the collective is starting with yourself and to send healing to the collective. It's a great way to observe what's going on, and by looking at the collective issues, you can feel like this is something that I need to work more on. No, not more on. Yeah, what more with. So yeah, but you described it so much better than I can do. So I
No,
don't.
I love the way you were going with
Yeah,
that. No.
well, that is the spiritual work. That is the spiritual work when it works in that infinite flow of not getting stuck. You can see a bigger picture. So you are a part of the collective. So heal thyself, and you will heal the collective too. And that is the way that you're actually changing what's going on, and to change the concept of how you perceive the world is what will lead you into the next phase of this so-called new earth. And I think it's time for humanity to stop holding themselves in the past, because you can never move forward unless you accept to think in a new way. So that is always so much going on right now, and so thrilled to be in this vibration of love and healing and forward and everything. So that is healing through darkness. You have to move through the collective to actually know what's going on within yourself. I love this topic. Your friend
Yeah.
Hannah, she seems like she's like a good anchor to you, or a friend.
Yeah. I randomly met her too online. I love how Source does that sometimes, just gets us all together. Found out she lives a couple blocks away. She does what's called emotional subconscious coding. Um, so she sits, yeah, I never heard of it before until I met her. She also does body testing for nutrition.
Oh,
So yeah, so she asks your body what your body wants, and your body will literally react. Like your muscle will like, huh, no, I don't like that, or it'll get strong if you need it. And it's really cool. She's been opening me up to so many different things. But this emotional subconscious coding, I love this. She literally takes the energies, she finds the energies that are there that are in your way, and then she moves the energetic portion so that you can move the physical portion.
Sounds interesting. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
are you working together in different projects or?
So right now we have one, it's called the Street Flow Sound Bath. It's in the middle of downtown Loveland. So a super busy street, but we do a sound bath, we do Reiki, tarot, and she does her coding there. And we have a masseuse that comes out, but it's pretty much to get just the everyday person a little bit more into spirituality. It's at a bar. It's super cute. But that was the first thing we were working on. And then me and her will be working on some sort of podcast. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be around this, looking at different things that are going on in the world. So world news, and how can we break it down? Just like we talked
Oh, I
about,
love that.
bring it to ourselves and then send love. So every episode is going to have just a ritual portion where, like, us as a collective, whoever's listening, we're all going to send some love, some power to whatever it is that's going on in the world. We hope to kind of teach people how to, because like you said, even like even the Game of Thrones thing that we talked about, you know, there is a way to watch, read, look at these things where it programs our minds without us knowing. But then there's another way to do it consciously, intentionally, with integrity, and watch these things and be like, wow, that makes me think about myself, right? That makes me really go internal. So we want to teach people how to do that conscious, intentional research or watching or whatever it is, because there is a shift. You do. I know you know what I'm talking about when you're, yeah, there is a difference.
Oh, I totally love that. Oh, that's going to be so interesting because I think that if you are doing that, you're going to broadcast it on your channel, right?
Oh yeah, 100%. Yes.
Yeah, I will subscribe and follow you.
Yay! We would
So
love to have you on sometime too. We want different people on, talk about some different stuff. Maybe I get to interview you this time. That would be
oh
great.
yes, just yeah, I'm up for it, definitely.
Yay! Yay!
Yeah, it sounds great. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
lovely. I'm looking forward to that. I love that new inspiration that is coming in and how to see on things and make it more like a everyday life-based situation.
Yes.
To how should I say this? To get rid of this guru versus people.
Mm-hmm.
We are the gurus, we are the
Yeah.
people. So bring those two closer, merge, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, love it.
And it's so funny. I've always thought of myself this way. Is that was like part of my purpose, right? And I never understood it, right? Until we get further on the journey. But my dad, growing up, complete atheist, but 100%, he loved science, he loved knowledge, he loved all this stuff, right? So my dad's feeding my head with all this knowledge. And then my mother, on the other hand, super faithful, very Christian, you know, upbringing of Mormon, so just very into her faith. So she's bringing this faith, trust, and God consciousness to me. So I always had the two, right? So I have the knowledge and the God consciousness, and I always wanted to find a way to just bring them all together. And that's what I feel like spirituality, that's the next level, right? Is that we've explored God consciousness, we've explored the fuck out of technology and science, right? Knowledge. Now, how do we, and science is catching up. We got quantum physics, we got, you know, all these different things that are coming out. The laws of manifestation are now almost 100% proven. Those, we have some CIA documents over here in America that came out that are pretty much just saying yes, that psychic stuff can happen, telepathy is true, you know, all this stuff. So eventually science is coming in, but I think just
it does. They have always gone, you know, like hand in hand. But somehow in this, I was about to say spiritual community, but yeah, well, in the spiritual community, you want to almost like separate those
Yeah.
things just as
Yeah.
much as the scientist wants to separate the two, but it's working together, and that's why I do love when you put science like a platform to understand how the physical reality is working, and then bringing the source concept into how the science works. I do
Right.
love that, because that will give a significant um how should I say, learning and acceptance that is easier to understand, that we are a part of everything and we can prove it scientifically.
Yes.
And I do love that. And I do love those, oh, that's a whole another topic, but I do love those files that are coming out that, telepathic things. We do know that how much Pentagon has worked with um, PSI and telekinesis, all these materials. It's not new. We have known these for years, but it's so fun that it's actually, if there are files that, support it so everyone can read it. So
Yeah.
that is also a scientific thing. Do love that. Thanks for that insight. So
Yeah. And there is a new one coming out. Once it's released, I'll probably send it your way. But
yeah,
it's showing how we can remember memories from our DNA. So we can literally, it's like proving past lives pretty
mm-hmm.
much, or ancestral, how sometimes we feel very connected to our ancestors. And it's because we have some of their memories coded into our DNA,
Oh,
since
that's
we share
interesting.
the same DNA. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I was like,
yeah.
what? So
Because
when
that
that
is
comes
also something that has been debatable in the spiritual community, whether we have this memory through our cells. We do know the cells have a memory, and
out.
it's passed on by neurons, etc., through our bodies, and how we inherited those memories from our ancestors. So that, oh yeah, if you do have that file, please send it.
Yeah, I'll send it your way once I find it again. I was
Yeah.
reading it and I was like, oh, it's like getting all geeked out. Oh,
That's so
science.
interesting. That's so interesting. It's almost like, we have to reinvent the oh, what's that show with, oh, The Truth Is Out There?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, you have.
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, you have. I can't remember the name. Probably because it's
Okay.
irrelevant right now. But do we have something more that we want to bring to the table about healing through darkness?
I felt like there was one last thing,
Hmm?
though it's gone. I felt like there was one last thing, but that's okay. Hmm. Is it gonna come back? Probably not. Hmm. Yeah, no. It's just the healing through darkness thing. I feel like it is just going to be a part of your journey for the rest of your life. So learn how to do it now. Find what works for you personally, because what works for me isn't always going to work for you. And it's not always going to work in every situation either, right?
Mhm.
Um, to just remember that, to be humble in it, to let it happen, to let yourself feel your emotions too in a safe space. I know there's been moments where I had to go somewhere and just scream, right? Or just cry, or, just sit by a river and let myself be. And it's like, let yourself do those things. Let yourself almost be like a child, and just do what is calling in those moments, because the breakdown of darkness, the walking through darkness, that is what's going to bring the new information, the new way of life, the new that you're desiring, that you're needing. Like, we don't get called to darkness for no reason. Spirit and source is constantly orchestrating our lives in such a beautiful weaving tapestry, and that if we just allow ourselves to walk through whatever comes up instead of pushing it away, I think we'll find so much more flow. And I think eventually, at least for me, I find more beauty in it. Like when I'm faced with it each time. each time it just gets, I don't want to say easier because that's not the word, but it's like, this is my level up. Here are my opportunities. Here is the next, meat and potatoes that I need to get through. Because when you get out of that birthing tunnel, when you leave that tunnel, like you just feel so much more yourself. You feel so much more powerful. You have so much more compassion, not only for yourself, but the world around you. And it's this feeling that I can't even, I can't even put words to, because if you just stay in the light, right? If you just stay in the light, there is no contrast. But when you walk through darkness and then come into that light again, it's this whole new appreciation that you go through. And that is the beautiful part of it. And I mean, like, honestly, that is the thing that gets me through it, right? I am going to feel so much better on the other side of this than even if I would have stayed, at the entrance of the tunnel. You're going to feel so much better. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think on that, I do like to tell everyone my little metaphor, I guess, for darkness. And this is for anyone that's going through it. They're like, there is no end for this. Oh my God. But I like to see it as a black hole, right? The black hole sucks everything in that's in its vicinity. So if you're near it, you're getting sucked in. Sorry, it sucks, but you're there, right? You get sucked into your black hole. You're searching everywhere. It's all darkness. There is no light. You're like, holy crap. You're spinning upside down. You get all crazy, and then you realize there is nothing you can do. A radical acceptance. You're in the black hole. It's okay to be here. The thing that scientists are now learning about black holes is that there is one little tiny particle of light, right? Tiniest particle. Now, if you could slowly just let yourself fall into the rhythm of the black hole, right? And just let it fall in, you're going to find that particle of light without even trying. You're just going to, look what I found. This little golden piece of light. That is the gift of the shadow, right? That is that whatever you're pulling out of, that is that little piece of light that you have been missing. It's the whole reason you're in the black hole. Now, in an actual black hole in space, if you touch that little particle of light, you actually go through it. Floop, and the black hole dissolves behind you. So, yeah, the metaphor for anyone is to just let it happen. You're going to find that little particle of light, and you needed it. And you're going to dissolve whatever it is that you're going through. It is going to fade through, and you just got to trust.
I love that metaphor. So you are being upgraded when you're going through that tiny bit of light. So that is the next step in the human evolution. Go through the darkness, find the light, and you are waking up as an upgraded human being.
Yes. And letting go of some of the crud or the subconscious bull crap that you have in there, so that you can literally see, feel, hear clearer, with clarity. A lot of those black holes that are just living in our subconscious, all they're doing is clouding the messages, or clouding our reactions, or clouding the way that we see the world. And we're just so attached to them because it's how it's always been. And that's why it's so scary, so uncomfortable. But if you can learn to just let go, just let go and just accept that, in those moments, nothing, and that's okay. And it's going to find you, that light will find you. You just have to relax.
Wow. I think that was a beautiful metaphor, and I will use it myself.
Go for it. Yes.
Yeah. Well put, Heaven. And I think we're going to let that be the final thing through this session, this chat we have had about healing through darkness. And we are going to upload your crystal balls, because the sound didn't come through as we wanted to on the Zoom. So we are going to upload it in a separate part of this interview. So, well, thank you once again, Helen. And I do feel that it was about time, perfectly in time to talk about this. I'm so glad that we actually come together and had a conversation about this. So fun to talk with you. You are still an energy of joy and happiness, and I get so uplifted just watching your show, and really looking forward to hear more about you and your friend Hannah, and to see what you are going to develop with that. It sounds like a brilliant idea, so well put in time.
Yeah, I'm so excited too. And thank you so much. I always love being on here. I'm glad we could connect. And thank you for flowing with me, being a little flexible. And yeah, you're awesome. I love this. I love being a part of this.
Thank you. And thank you for watching this. So we are also going to put up your website on the in the comment fields so people can reach you, the Heavenly Energies. So, and you have your own homepage too, and it's on the website. So we are going to put it there too, so people can get in touch with you if they need guidance to work things through. So thank you again for being a part of this, and bless you until next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.